Welcome to Astrodology, the podcast that brings you knowledge, wisdom, and principles that can help you find the peace and comfort we all seek and deserve in our lives. Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome back to another episode of Astrodology with Astrid. I am recording this in the evening on the 18th of November because tomorrow night, late in the evening at 10:47 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that new moon in Scorpio arrives. I mean, she's arriving right now, but she will be peaked out in her fullness as new. 10:47 p.m. Pacific, and this is going to allow that moon on the 20th to arrive in the wee hours New York time or East Coast time at 1:47 a.m. This moon is coming in at 28 degrees, and if you remember during the full moon in Taurus, 28 degrees was a big number because 28 is one of the anaretic degrees. Right off the beginning, 2 plus 8 equals 10. How are you? How have you been? I hope you're staying safe and warm and, feeling good about just absolutely closing off this crazy year. New moons mark the beginning of a new lunar cycle. So the new moon is dark. You see the moon get brighter and brighter and brighter leading up to that full moon. So they're partners, the new moon, the full moon. So every 2 weeks we have a new moon and a full moon, and they create a cycle. And with Scorpio on deck, you automatically know that Taurus is on deck, the exact opposite. So we've got Venus and Pluto, the main energies governing this moon. But there's some crazy, beautiful stuff going on with water signs. 7 planets are in water signs. So before we go deeper, I want to say happy birthday to all the Scorpios that I know. It's unbelievable the amount of Scorpios that I know. And these aren't just, again, periphery people. These are people that I've spent time with at some stage, season, reason, lifetime. And it's just unbelievable that just for me, I've attracted so many Scorpios. It's kind of wild to me because I actually have a stellium in Sagittarius. I really only have, I think, 2 signs in Scorpio or 2 planets in Scorpio. Kind of wild, but I love it because it's just like when I meet another Scorpio, there's instant alignment. So Scorpio, we have a year. So whenever your birthday arrived in the season of Scorpio, you have 1 year. This is called your solar return. Your solar return. So it's your personal new year. So treat it like a new year. My birthday was October 24th. So I am almost 1 month into my new year, and I'm feeling a little kind of anxious because I'm like, have I done what I need to do? I only have 11 months left. And that's how we have to look at it. Time is zooming by so fast. You have to ensure that you're paying attention and that you are focusing. Okay, here are the happy birthday Scorpios, not in any particular order. And if you're a Scorpio and I've missed you, I apologize. Paloma, Bianca, Jacqueline, Audrey, Glenn, Lily, Angel, Savannah, Todd, Danny, Raisa, Jessica, Tony, Michael, Brian, Marty, Nikki, Michelle, Shauna, Steve, Tony, Jill, Donna, Chris, Jay, Bill, and Will. Wow. That's a lot of Scorpios to know. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. So sending my love to my fellow Scorpios. You know who you are. You know your name. And I'm so honored and grateful to share this time with you. Scorpio, when you think of Scorpio, you want to think first and foremost transformation, intuition, deep connection, inner work, deep waters, death, rebirth. So this 28 degrees is one of the anaretic degrees. So 28, 29, because the degrees go from 0 to 29 degrees and then it starts all over again. So Scorpio is about rebirth. And when you think of Scorpio, because it's a water sign, you're talking about washing away the past. So on 11/19, I'm going to say 11/20 because that's going to be the full day of the new moon. The sun and moon are going to create an exact triple conjunction. There is a stellium with Mercury retrograde. All three, so the sun, the moon, and Mercury's in retrograde in Scorpio at 28 degrees. This is creating a triple 28 code. So a triple 111. So triple 111 is angelic numbers. And we just celebrated 1111, more one energy. So this triple conjunction with Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is at 28 degrees in Scorpio. So this is a 28, 28, 28 code. So the sun, moon, Mercury, and Mercury's in retrograde. I'm not even going to focus too much on that. But Uranus is exactly opposite at 29 degrees in Taurus. So 28, 29, so the anaretic degree. What this means is more potent energy. Neptune is also at 29 degrees in Pisces. So we've got this grand water trine. We've got the sun and the moon in Scorpio, and we got Neptune in Pisces creating this grand water trine. But that's not all. Jupiter is in Cancer. Venus is in Scorpio also, and Saturn is in Pisces. This is 7 planets in water signs. When I think of water, I think of sonic, I think of going deep, I think of rebirth, cleansing. But I feel like with all these 7 planets and all these water signs, energy is being flushed out and purified. And the thing about water is water can be murky, it can be like a mossy green, it can be crystal blue. Water is truly amazing. And I remember when I was doing a work role out of state and I had my condo sat empty when I was away. And a dear friend, Joe, said, make sure that you turn the water off because I was, people worry a lot about gas and explosions. But he goes, water, make sure you whenever you leave, turn that water off because water does actually so much damage. And it's true because water is the only element that can reach anywhere. I mean, anywhere. Water can seep through crevices, nooks, the smallest crevices. So water is powerful. It's soft, quiet, but powerful. Unless it's like, you think about hurricanes, tornadoes. Water is intense. So Scorpio is here to say what needs to be cleansed, what needs to be restored, and what fears do you need to look at. So with all the water energy taking over and occupying the sun, the moon, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, we're going deep. We're going deep in this moon. And this Mercury, this kind of is, you got to give Mercury credit too, because this is Mercury's new moon as well, as it's in the middle of its retrograde. So when Mercury's outer effectiveness is being eclipsed, that is inner essential. It's at its height, at its peak. So Mercury in Scorpio is also bringing deep inner knowing conveyed through the senses, through your senses, the ability to hear sound, symbols, and just like this intuitive knowing. Cafe astrology. I love this thought from Cafe Astrology. In the sign of Scorpio, matters related to intimacy, control, power, money, and sharing will be a strong focus in the period ahead of this new moon. New beginnings or fresh starts are possible in all of these areas. The new moon in Scorpio marks the beginning of a cycle, presenting an opportune time to commit personal goals that express the positive energies of the sign of the Scorpion. Passionate, resourceful, focused, probing, deep, and perceptive. Scorpio new moon cycles favor working on our self-mastery skills. We may want to pinpoint those things that make us feel out of control, such as addictions and debts, and work on freeing ourselves from these emotional burdens. This new moon cycle is also opportune for exploring what is missing in our lives that leads us to engage in these self-destructive behaviors. There could be an opportunity to rid ourselves of junk in our lives, material and spiritual. With this potent Scorpio energy, we have the chance to make important changes in our lives. Each sign teaches us valuable things, and one of Scorpio's lessons, in quotes, involves learning to dig deeper into the mysteries around us instead of always being content with the status quo. Taking the time to understand others' motives can enrich our feelings of intimacy, forgiveness, and meaning. Scorpio also teaches us that dedication to one meaningful relationship or undertaking can be significantly more satisfying than spreading ourselves around. Here, quality over quantity applies. We might want to use this cycle to focus on and develop one special project or relationship and help add purposefulness and depth to our lives. It can also be a time to seek ways to release our fear of confrontations and heavy emotional situations. We're discovering that although they may be uncomfortable, these situations can lead us towards psychological healing. We can easily drum up support from others and motivation from within to accomplish our goals. The new moon tightly aligns with Mercury retrograde, and it's hard to see our path, but our discomfort with the past can be very real now, motivating new beginnings. With this opposition to Uranus, we should watch for prematurity and abrupt changes or rebellion. However, be a courageous, proactive time. Scorpio is the sign of truth, guys. So I'm moving into a new thought. So thank you so much. That's such a great download from Cafe Astrology. I love that. But Scorpio is a sign of truth. It goes to the source of things. So Pluto helps to uncover what is in the dark, the unseen and below the surface, and brings the truth and the origin out. You know, Scorpios can dish it out and they can also take it, unless you're a Scorpio man. I hate to diss on my Scorpio brothers, but they're pretty contradictory when it comes to that. They have a sharp tongue, that sharpness that you hear. Scorpio men can be really exciting to be with and passionate, but they can also be a pain in the ass, truly, because they're moodier than the female Scorpios. And this, each sign, either the men are greatly different than the women, or the women are greatly different than the men. But Scorpio energy, no matter what gender, helps us to pinpoint the direction we need to look at and things that we must look at and accept it, gain understanding about it, and let it go. It's a time to clear it away. I mean, this is the end of the year. We have 6 weeks left? So the retrograde, Mercury retrograde, is slowing things down so that we can take the deep dive that we need. Scorpio, the main image of the Scorpio is the scorpion. And scorpion is a little creature and it sheds its skin each year. So the scorpion, like the snake, it sheds its skin. So as a Scorpio sheds its skin, it's a metaphor for letting go of the old. And the shedding is necessary. And when it's complete, it's reborn into new skin. So new moons, again, mark the beginning of a lunar cycle, and we get to wipe our slates clean and start fresh. If you've been feeling stuck, every single month we get a new moon. You get the opportunity for a clean slate. So Scorpio, again, is ushering in transformation. My jam, Forever Conscious. I love foreverconscious.com. Always something very insightful to say and just so poetic with the words. Forever Conscious says, the Scorpio new moon is always a powerful time in our year to focus on transformation. We have all moved through many deaths and rebirths this year. Isn't that the truth? Of varying sizes and intensities. But the Scorpio new moon is always our reminder to honor what we have moved through and find hope for where we are heading. Since the last Scorpio new moon back in November 2024, how have you transformed? How have you awakened into a new part of your being? And how can you find the hope for where you stand today? As I reflect back from 1 year ago, my life is completely different. I was talk about transformation, And it was eclipse season too during that time. My life was eclipsed and clipped like a mother. And living to tell it today, my life is completely different. Girl and Her Moon. Another girlandhermoon.com. I love this. I love her words. I love her dialogue. It's really, really great. So Girl and Her Moon says, a lunation where the sun, moon, and Mercury retrograde gather together in the waters of Scorpio. There is alignment, a power and togetherness, a concentration of consciousness, emotion, and perception within one singular current, each body amplifying one another. Here we are offered a concentration of ourselves, our energy, our layers, together asking for the same thing: truth, empowerment, self-reclamation, and renewal. These three bodies beckons us into our depth, into our psyche, into the underground waters of who we are. Together, they sensitize our intuition and reveal truths that have not yet been seen. Together, they offer perspectives of ourselves and our life that transform, open, awaken, and change us. In these depths, there is wisdom, there is remembering, there is profound medicine awaiting, there is empowerment, there is knowing, there is rebirth awaiting. A profound cosmic backdrop. This lunation sits within the medicine of a grand water trine, offering faith, compassion, and authority. It sits in opposition with Uranus, holding us in the vibration of authenticity, liberation, truth, and awakening. And in sextile with Pluto, transformation itself becomes the current moving through us. Amen. Do you hear how powerful these words are from these different sources? I mean, Scorpio brings us out. Like, these downloads are so passionate and so intense, just like Scorpio, but very, they hit you to the core. These words are words that we know, like authenticity. I find that so amazing because during 11/11, I pull cards, during the major lunations, the moon, the new moon, the full moon, 11/11, 12/12, 5/5/5, things like that. And two cards that I pulled spoke about authenticity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. What can you do to improve your current circumstance? What can you do? Where do you want to grow? What is standing in your way? Because there's always, when we're not growing and we're not evolving, there's always something standing in our way. And it could just be our mindset. It could be a person. It could be a situation. Where have you been limiting yourself with old assumptions and rules that are not longer relevant for where you are now? Sometimes people stay stuck in an old groove in the record, and that's just not true anymore. That's why I love it. Like in my yoga class, we do Sat Nam. Sat Nam is amazing because Sat Nam, the literal translation is truth is my identity. You could suffice it to say, you could say when you go to bed at night, when you wake up, what was true the day before is no longer true the next day, because we go through transformation when we sleep overnight. Our cells regenerate themselves and change. Forever Conscious says, what have we been longing to do? What is something we have been putting off that we have always wanted to experience? We all have a deep desire for something that sometimes we're afraid to say it out loud, or we're afraid to actually really desire it, because either we don't think we deserve it, we don't think we earned it, we don't think we can have it, we don't think we have the money or the resources or the time to get it. But now is the time to dream, with Uranus and Pluto on deck, and with Scorpio saying, if you just will clear the old, you're making a fertile ground for the new. This new moon invites us to a new beginning and new experience. But it involves courage. We have to muster up the courage and the faith to take the first steps. Because Uranus is the planet of change and awakening. And it's really, really activated by this moon. and it may send some erratic waves our way. Neptune is a planet that's unpredictable and surprises. It's also a planet about dreaming and desiring. So while change is always unsettling, even good change, because even when good change is on deck, what we do as humans is like, it's so good, then we worry that, gosh, is this real? How long is it going to last? But Uranus is about shaking things up. You know how when you make salad dressing, the oil separates from the vinegar or the citrus, and you have to shake it up to bring it back together, right? So Uranus is not afraid to shake things up because it wants us to try something new. And sometimes we have to be literally turned upside down, like salad dressing in a bottle. I know it sounds silly, but it's like salad dressing in a bottle to actually move forward and do something different. The idea is during Scorpio season that there's something we've been withholding or something we've been afraid to do. Even sometimes we don't face reality or talk to a person or have that conversation because we're afraid of what we're going to hear. But this new moon could rattle things, like rattle us and shake us free so that we're forced to take action. Unfortunately, you never want things to be forced on us, but sometimes we need to be pushed, we need to be shoved, we need to be rattled so that we can confront things, so we can navigate and move to a higher plane. The idea is no risks, no reward. And Uranus can sometimes push us too fast, too wild. Uranus is a wild planet. Oh gosh, I have some crazy Uranus placements that even astrologers feel sorry for me. They're like, girl. But according to astrology, probably starting, I think, the prediction was 6 or 7 years, and 6, 7, or 8 years, and I'm right there, that I went through hell in this period, and lo and behold, it's true. So, surprising news, information that could shake you up, may unfold in your life, during this time. So Uranus and the Scorpio new moon are also activating our feelings of security, especially without all the political stuff going on. Now we got the cosmos, helping us feel less secure. So the idea comes back to Scorpio's tagline should be know thyself. And if we don't feel secure within ourselves, we may find that needed changes we can't avoid making them. And sometimes something that seemed very, very secure may not seem stable. With this work economy, things just don't feel stable with the housing market and people losing their employment and people being unhoused. It's kind of crazy right now. So even though the ground beneath us may feel a little shaky, we're shifting, whether we want to or not, of seismic activity literally is going on, because everywhere we turn, something wild and interesting is going on. So the Scorpio new moon in Mercury retrograde, means that this intense energy is woven into our experience, because Mercury is about communication. But Scorpio wants us to honor our intuition. And the way we do that is to, review everything and make sure that we're actually listening and we're actually trusting those intuitive things that are happening to us. We can always learn from past mistakes, but there's also information and insights from our past that we might have ignored. Oftentimes you're like, oh, I'll deal with that later. I don't have the energy to go through that right now. But there could be things we've ignored, things that we weren't ready to see. That water's gonna get crystal clear and we'll be able to see it. We won't be able to gloss over things like we used to. So again, every sign, every zodiac brings to the table its energy during its lunation. So the best thing you can do during this Scorpio new moon is to ask those powerful questions about, what do you really want? How far have you come from this year to the prior year? And what do you really want to achieve? Trust your inner world to find out where the imbalances are. Because the world around us is always a little chaotic. It's always loud. It's always a trip. So we always have to go into our inner world. You know, yogis say that if we could get to the point of meditating, like we're just sitting in the middle of New York City, busy street, and we're able to focus inward, then you know you're close to nirvana. So the idea is set your heart's desire intention of this new moon. Remember, Venus is on deck because Taurus is on deck with Scorpio. Scorpio is exact opposite. So set the intention under this moon to go within. Make sure that you take time out to listen to your body and check in what it needs. You know, Scorpio governs the sex organs. You know, make sure that your personal hygiene and your intimate parts of your body are in order. You want to spend time in water. I say this every year. And in California, Los Angeles area, you can without guilt spend extra time in the shower. We've had so much water these last 4 or 5 days, just absolutely pouring. Take a bath, go to the ocean, go to a river, go to natural hot pools. Like in Ojai, California, they have these natural mineral baths. So Scorpio is a water sign. When you're showering, instead of just seeing it just as a shower, see it as a rebirth. See as you're rinsing away the old. And do this for the next 2 weeks, because again, when we have a lunation on deck, we have 2 weeks to live into that energy. The peak is the first 3 days, but we have 2 weeks until we get to the next new moon, or full moon actually. So live in this energy, you know, make small steps, even if they're small. Think of how you can step into something new, because with this lunation, the universe is doing its part. You know, they say the universe has your back. The universe is sending waves and waves and waves of support to guide us. So what a gift that becomes. So new moon in Scorpio, 28 degrees, equaling a 10, equaling a 1. We have a 28, 28, 28 code. And these 3 28s reduced to 1, 1, 1. We've learned 1 is the number of leadership. 1 is the number of fresh beginnings. So again, allow this time for you to look at the important changes that you need to make. You know, it's okay that we've gotten through this year and maybe we haven't accomplished as much, but there's been this collective crazy energy that's pulled us back. It's almost like every time we try to come forward, there's something crazy going on politically, in the news, socially. It's just really a nutty time. So really show yourself some grace. I honestly believe when we look back, we're going to have to make a scratch for 2025, like almost like scratch this year out of existence, because it's been so wild and crazy. But take good care of yourself, and just remember the main crux of a new moon is new beginnings. So again, with this water metaphor, drink lots and lots of water. Do a ritual around water. You know, I love that dissolving paper where you write your wishes on it and then you put it in the water and the wishes dissolve right into the water. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm just babbling. I'm a babbling boob now, but you know, Scorpio is passion. It's resourcefulness, it's focus, it's intuitive, you know, it's psychic perception. So with Scorpio new moon on deck, those qualities will come out greater and greater in you. So again, this new moon in Scorpio is a great time for exploring what is missing in your life, and that helps you to move forward into a higher plane to become the best version of yourself. This is an opportunity to rid ourselves of the junk, of the gunk, both materially and spiritually. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Astrology with Astrid. Really take good care. We're on the heels of Thanksgiving. I want to say happy Thanksgiving. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I am grateful beyond measure that you take the time to listen to this podcast, that you follow me. It really, really means the world. This is something that I really enjoy doing, knowing that at some stage, some timing, you will hear my voice, and maybe there's a sentence, maybe there's a word, a thought that will help you come out of fear, transform your life, and feel that you have support, maybe that you can't touch, but the universe has your back. Follow me on Instagram at Coda Life Goddess, COTALIFE Goddess. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste. Thank you for listening to Astrodology. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help support the podcast, please hit the subscribe button and tell your friends about it by sharing this program on social media. You can also follow me on Instagram at Coda Life Goddess or at codalife.com. Coda is COTA, Coda Life Goddess or codalife.com. Thank you again for listening to Astrodology, and I'll see you next time.